Hello, YouTube. How is everybody doing on this great afternoon? Hope everybody's doing great. Hopefully, everybody's having a great day at work or a great day having off or whatever you happen to be doing in this great life. So, I wanted to kind of get into a little bit of football here in a minute and then kind of had a little rant. I wanted to kind of, man, I don't want to do the rant. Fuck that. Uh, Pardon my language. So, talk about NASCAR real quick. Congrats to Brad Keselowski. He is the first driver to advance in the NASCAR playoffs with a win over Las Vegas on Sunday. A couple of drivers really needing to step up here in the next two races to avoid elimination. It'll be Chase Elliott, Eric Jones. Kevin Harvick actually wrecked, but due to his playoff points, he is still fifth in the playoff standing. So good runs by Kyle Larson and Martin Truex Jr. And hopefully next week be a good race for everybody. Brad's looking for win number 4 in a row, so I'd be looking out for Brad Keselowski in that race. My actual pick at Richmond is going to be Kyle Busch. So I take Kyle Busch to win, or at least get a good finish. That's what I like to get good finishes. Being in a pool in a NASCAR pool, you win weekly on races. Whoever gets the highest finish, or you can based on that you can get second or third, but it's a regular point system like how it would be like winning stages and everything. So even if your driver doesn't win, if you're still gaining points, that's what it's all about. So uh, coming off last week's picks, I went 3 out of 4. The West Virginia North Carolina NC State game was postponed due to the hurricane. Again, think of those in North and South Carolina affected by Hurricane Florence. Uh, Heart and soul are with them right now as they go through this devastation. First game I picked was Ohio State. They beat TCU 40-28, so got that win. Alabama crushes Ole Miss 62-7. Texas beats USC. I think it was 37-14 was the final in that game. So, and then LSU beat Auburn on a last-second field goal, 22-21. I wasn't really able to catch that game. I was actually in Gainesville for the Florida Colorado State game. I went to that game with a few buddies, and it was a really good game. It was really hot, but it's always good to see a football game. Florida looked okay. I mean, they went 48-10, but there was a lot of mistakes made by Colorado State, and special teams and defensive play really won the game for Florida. But offensively, I think there's some things that they need to work on. But overall, it's still a great win, even if you win in college football. In the NFL, Cincinnati beat Baltimore 34-23. I got that one. Jacksonville beat New England 31-20. I didn't get my upset, which was Arizona over the Rams, and that was the biggest lopsided game of the week. 34-0 win for the Rams over the Cardinals. Dallas beat the Giants 20-13 on Sunday night. I got that one, and then last night Chicago beat Seattle 24-17. So 4 out of 5 and 3 out of 4. Hey, that's a good week for me. A couple of shout outs I give to, I wrote these down, sorry. Darius Leonard for the Colts and his win over the Redskins. 15 tackles, 1 sack, and a forced fumble in a winning effort over the Redskins. Anytime defensive player gets a couple more sacks, or at least 10 to 20 tackles, I'm going to give it a shout out to. So I wanted to kind of give Darius Leonard his due there. Um, that's a that's a hell of an accomplishment. Anything over 10 tackles is pretty good. Um, Also, I wanted to give another shout out to Patrick Mahomes, throwing for 6 touchdowns, 326 yards on 23 of 28 passing for the Chiefs in their win over the Steelers. He has the most touchdown passes in the first 2 weeks of anybody in NFL history for 10 touchdown passes through first 2 weeks of the season. Having to go in on the road against the Chargers and the Steelers, who many believe that the Chargers and Steelers could have been Super Bowl contenders. I mean, Chargers are now 1-1. Steelers are all 1-1. But we'll see what goes on there. And then Blake Bortles in a 4 touchdown pass performance against the Patriots on Sunday. So those are my 3 shout outs. I usually give about 3 to 4. Couple honorable mentions I will give is Khalil Mack of the Bears. Um, another strip sack fumble last night against Russell Wilson, and then Ryan Fitzpatrick throwing for 400 yards against the Super Bowl champions Eagles on Sunday. So we move ahead to this week's picks. In college football, there's 4 games I'm picking. Nebraska playing Michigan, TCU versus Texas, Stanford, Oregon, and then Arizona State versus Washington. So my picks will be taking Michigan to beat Nebraska. I take Texas to beat TCU, Stanford to beat Oregon, and then Washington to beat Arizona. So those are my 4 games of the week there. Let's see the NFL. Got a couple of good games here. There was about 5 games I picked. There was a lot of good games that I was looking at, and then there were some where I was just like, "What the hell?" But my first game will be my upset. I'm 0 for 2 on these upsets, so I guess not getting the upset and then getting 2 ties in the first 2 weeks of the season for the first time since I think in 1971 is what they were saying. So, with that being said, my upset will be, we do this with stickers, of course, if you guys know. My upset is I am taking the Browns to beat the Jets on Thursday night. And I honestly think this pick could actually happen compared to the other 2 upset picks because I think Cleveland is really due for a win. I think the Jets came down a little bit after their loss to the Dolphins, which kudos to the Dolphins for a 2-0 start. Jacksonville and Tampa are also 2-0. But we'll get into Tampa a little bit here in the picks. So the Browns at home Thursday night, 0-1-1, coming off the heartbreaking loss of the Saints and then the tie. I think they're due for the win. I actually think right now they could be the better team. Well, I like playing with my beard. There you go. Yeah, a little bit of ADD there. I like Cleveland at home against the rookie quarterback. So next game I'm taking is Cincinnati is playing Carolina. And from what I've seen from both teams, if this was at if this was in any other location, like let's just say if it was at Carolina and Cincinnati, I'd still pick the team I wanted to pick in this first one. Doesn't matter to me. I think the Bengals are the team to beat right now in the AFC North. I like what I see out of Carolina, but I just think that there's some a little bit of offensive line issues. You kind of seen that in the Dallas game. Atlanta was still able to get a little bit of pressure on them. Cincinnati has a pretty good pass rush, so I think the Bengals win in that game. Also, Dalton is playing pretty good football right now. And, it could be a pretty good game, and it could go either way. I know that, but I just think Cincinnati has the nod in that one. In the Battle of LA, it'll be the Chargers taking on the Rams. So you got Chargers coming off a win over the Bills, getting their first win of the season. The Rams are looking good, 2-0. This is one of the Super Bowl teams that I think could get to this is one of my Super Bowl picks is I like the Rams to beat the Chargers at home in the Battle of LA. Next game is the Sunday night game. I said earlier I was going to pick all the Sunday night games, and this one I was really on the fence about picking, but it's New England at Detroit. New England coming off a loss at Jacksonville. Detroit didn't look good in the first game. Kind of seemed to have picked it up a little bit here in the second, but still gave up 30 points. Rumor is that Matt Patricia against Bill Belichick, the professor against the student, and Belichick is almost close to automatic in winning these games. And I know this is third week in a row I'm picking a Patriot game, but I like New England to beat Detroit. Now, this Monday night game was a little bit, I don't think anybody thought this was going to happen. I think a lot of people thought maybe the Steelers could probably be 2-0, maybe the Bucks would be winless going into this. It's complete opposite. The Bucks have looked pretty good in these first couple of weeks. The only thing that scares me about Tampa is the second half. You're going up against Drew Brees, and then you went up against Nick Foles. The Bucks did give up some points here in the first 2 games against those opponents. I'm not really sure if I believe in the Bucks defense quite yet, but I think they are looking sharp. The only thing is needing to make some stops in the fourth quarter. I do know you are playing against 2 pretty pretty good opponents. Now with the Steelers, they need a running game. Le'Veon Bell not being there. There was actually some reports that this morning Antonio Brown did not report to camp yesterday or whatever. There's a lot of speculation he might be traded. I don't think he is. It was Colin said it was a bunch of bogus, whatever. So there might be a little bit of a mix-up in the Steelers. So what? Everything that I told you makes you think I'm going to pick Tampa over the Steelers. But here's why I am not picking the Bucks. Bucks playing against the Saints, suspect defense, but they are playing against the Eagles at home. Pretty good defense, and they go out there and Fitzpatrick throws for 400 yards. I like Fitzpatrick, don't get me wrong. I'm waiting for him to turn into the real Ryan Fitzpatrick. And historically against the Steelers, Bucks quarterbacks, I know there's been a couple of times where the Bucks have gone into Pittsburgh and win, but a lot of times the quarterbacks don't play very well. I mean, Glennon did get the win there 4 years ago. Mike Glennon did, but at home, I feel like Roethlisberger could be the difference. That's why I'm taking the Steelers. And I know a lot of Bucks fans are going to be like, "What the hell?" But I just think Pittsburgh wins in that game. So I take my upset is the Cleveland Browns. I know my penmanship isn't that great. I take the Bengals to beat the Panthers. Rams to beat the Chargers. Patriots over the Lions. And then we got the Steelers on Monday night to beat the Bucks. So it'll probably be a given if picking the Steelers or picking the Monday night game. We do have a couple extra minutes to talk about some things, I guess. So now, I did say in the beginning part of this show that I would be talking about other things other than just sports. We could talk about Hurricane Florence. That to me is a little bit off topic. We already know it's a storm and everything. I said in the video that I uploaded last night that there's been 5 hurricanes that I've been through, 4 back in 2004, one last year being Hurricane Irma. Yes, I do live in Florida, but I'm not giving that information out where I live, just for privacy purposes and stuff like that. These hurricanes are not a they're better to track than a tornado, but they're just as devastating. I've had family go through tornadoes before. I've never personally seen an actual tornado touch down, but you don't know where it's going and everything. Well, at least with a hurricane, when they're in the water, the warm water is the strengthens the hurricane. Now, when they hit landfall, that's when they weaken. And everybody says, you got a band up here, then the eye, then a band down here, and it does like a rotational thing. People think when you get to the eye that the storm has passed. We still have this other band of storms coming. So this is kind of like giving some people that don't know what hurricanes are a little bit more of an in-depth look at what they are. There's 5 categories on them. All depends on how fast the winds are. I think anything over 75 to 100 mile an hour is a category 1. Now everybody says, well, that's just a normal day down here, blah blah blah. Well, they're not used to that up in South Carolina, New York, Carolinas. Anytime where a hurricane, or even in Mississippi, Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans, Texas, all that stuff. So Hurricane Harvey flooded out Houston last year. Of course, hurricanes down there hit Puerto Rico. They're still trying to get over that. And, we can go into a debate on how Trump handled that or whatnot. But the thing about it is we can sit here and debate this stuff about how hurricanes are devastating. They're not devastating. These people are being affected no matter what. Puerto Rico, some down here in Florida when the hurricanes hit, South Carolina, Houston. That's just in the last year. And we can make this debate about, well, are they going to get funding or not? The death toll, blah, blah, blah. Fucking help these people get their lives back together. I don't care what it takes. We are built on help. This country was built on helping the fellow man, no matter if you knew him or not, get back up on his feet if he was down in a time of crisis. These people, some lost relatives. You'll never be able to replace that. Some lost their house. You gotta just think. And the biggest problem I see with this country right now is we could say, and we can go into the Colin Kaepernick thing too, because that's got a little bit to do with it, but it's not a black and white thing to me. It's Democrat, Republican. That's what it is. The more we keep thinking, well, fuck liberals, fuck conservatives, whatever like that, well, that's not what we're built on. We're built on, let's come together. We agree on this, but we disagree on that. How can we get it closer? And everything wants to be divided. To me, sometimes maybe people like it that way. I don't know. But to me, the sooner we start coming together, the sooner this country can start getting back up in arms again. But my personal view on it is, we ain't going to do that with the president we have. So that's just where I stand on that. I don't really want to get into controversy about politics and everything with Trump, but there is some things that I do agree with him on. A couple of things, not much, but there is a couple of things, and then there's a lot that I don't agree with him on. And for me personally, we can, it just the way he handled the natural disaster in Puerto Rico was really kind of a downfall for me. So, okay, well, next week we will be getting into back to some more football picks. Maybe we'll get back into the baseball thing. Hockey's down here is getting ready to start back up. A lot of teams are reporting to training camp. Basketball season's on its way, so we're gonna do not next week, but future shows will be on kind of like a basketball preview. I kind of wanted to get in to do a little bit of a commentary about LeBron James and the Lakers. Baseball, like I said, we're going to cover a little bit of the playoffs and then keep up with the weekly picks. So a lot of good things to come. Hopefully y'all enjoyed the movie video last night. Like I said, I will be doing a holiday one as the holidays get closer. Next month, I don't know really what I'm going to do. Maybe I'll do something on songs or music or something like that. But it's just kind of branching out, showing the viewers or you guys that I know I can talk about just about anything and make it interesting, I guess. So don't forget to like and subscribe down at the bottom. Comment if you want, if you disagree to agree, or just watch. It's fine with me. So see you guys next week, and God bless.